Well, the Nigerian Bar Association section of Public Interest and Development Law, that's NBA SPIDEL, has announced a list of 43 planning committee members for its annual conference holding in Sokoto State from May the 22nd through the 26th of this year. For more on that, we're now being joined here by Dr. Onyekachi Ubani, who's a lawyer and former vice chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association and current chairman of SPIDEL NBA. Dr. Ubani, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you, Cynthia, for having me. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you
Thank
on
you.
Sunday.
It's a pleasure. How are preparations going for this highly anticipated conference?
Yeah, the conference is in May. You may be interested to know that the theme is the role of law and the rule of law. Law has a role. Rule also has a rule. Yeah, so that would be what would take place in May, 22nd of May, actually, to be precise, in Sokoto. We were in Aba in 2019, which is the southeastern region. In 2021, we were in Ibadan. Southwestern. So 2022, we are going to North. And the governor of Sokoto, who is a barman, a committed barman, decided to host the conference this year. So the entire lawyers who are public interest lawyers will be gathering in Sokoto, as Riley pointed out. And it's going to be an interesting and exciting time for us as lawyers. One, we really need to use the profession to unify this country, that we're one. A lot of people may have an idea, oh, Sokoto is not safe. No, Sokoto is serene, beautiful, an exciting place. We were there recently. I am the president of the bar, Mr. Lumide Akwata, and the reception was fantastic, and the people were willing to host all the Nigerian lawyers who will be coming for that conference. So it is 22nd to 26th of May this year.
All right, SPIDEL has been taking on key issues, and some will say that they expect more from them because, of course, there was the case about unmarried female police officers not getting pregnant, and SPIDEL actually weighed into that. People are saying that they need to see more activities from SPIDEL, which is an arm of the NBA.
I agree with you. We're doing much in terms of public interest litigation. One of the cases that NBA did recently is this issue of challenging that discriminatory police guideline that if you are not married, you can get pregnant. But a man that is not married can probably, bear a child, but the woman cannot. We felt that is clearly against the provision of the Constitution itself, and so the matter went to court. The Federal High Court, thought otherwise, but we are going to appeal that judgment up to the Supreme Court level in order to get a correct interpretation whether it was not discriminatory in that policy, because we had similar issues like that in NDLEA, where the court decided that it was purely discriminatory, where women also were excluded from certain policy by that particular body. So I think that decision may have been reached by inquiry, but as I said earlier, we will test the veracity of that this in our appellate court, and I think we're going to get justice. We are doing more. Like tomorrow, we're holding a program in Marriott Hotel on issue of justiciability of Chapter 2 of 1999 Constitution. If you know, there's Chapter 2 that provides for socio-economic rights, while Chapter 4 provides for fundamental human rights. But you cannot realize the fundamental human right if you don't have socio-economic right, right to employment, right to free health, education, and all that. And so we felt there is no way the Constitution itself can make elaborate provision of all those rights, and then at the same time, put an abstract clause and say you cannot enforce it. So we want now to bring the entire, politicians, the lawmakers, the judiciary, in order to come and debate the issue, whether it is right for you to enjoy fundamental human rights where you cannot enjoy socio-economic right, which is actually the fulcrum, which is the foundation of enjoyment of the fundamental human rights. So it's taking place tomorrow. I'm very happy with the president of the bar, who is a foremost public interest lawyer, who has actually sponsored this particular program, shown so much interest in the program, and said, look, Mr. Ubani, this is a wonderful program, because the issue of social contract. Politicians are gearing up for 2023. They make all the promises, but when they come in, they don't fulfill their promises to the people. This issue of socioeconomic right. You don't have a right of employment. You don't have a right of education. Issue of social capital, issue of human capital development, they don't, mind about it. But what they're interested is how much they can get out of the entire system. Whereas the issue of governance is about the people, about their interest, about their rights. And so if you have a right that cannot be enforced, we are saying that right is a non-right. So we want a situation where the judiciary, which is an arm that look at interpretation, we apply a more proactive approach like India and South Africa, who had similar outside clauses, but they are more proactive and pragmatic in handling such issue of right and enforcing it against the government of the people, against the people, yes.
Dr. Ubani, last year's conference had very interesting sessions, including, public interest in governance,
right.
And you had a lot of interesting speakers.
That's right.
How do you plan to top that performance this year, especially with that interesting theme, the rule and raw of law?
It's going to be more exciting because we're going to get a lot of, the issue of professors of law involved, civil society group involved, get those in government to understand that the law has a role. Fundamental. It also has a rule. And the problem we're having in this part of the world is that people who are in governance do not respect the rule of law. And they don't even understand what role the law plays in society. And so that's why SPIDEL is now coming up and say, can we really tell Nigerians and people in government that a law has a role it plays? And the moment you don't understand the role of law, you may not be able to apply the rule of law. So it's all interwoven, So it's going to be an exciting, because a lot of people have indicated interest. In fact, I mentioned it to one justice of the Supreme Court. He said, Mr. Ubani, I want to be part of that panel, in Sokoto. We have already gotten up to how many professors who have indicated interest. In fact, yesterday, one professor from Benue called Mr. Ubani, you must get me involved in that particular, conference. So in Ibadan, it was quite exciting. But in Sokoto, I can assure you it's going to be more exciting.
All right. SPIDEL has also been fighting for the independence of judiciary. Talk to us about that and why is it important to press on the particular point, independence of the judiciary?
If you don't have an independent judiciary, the country is in trouble. And that's what we say, all this is interwoven. The issue of law. The absence of law is anarchy. Now, if somebody has a grievance or is aggrieved and he approaches the court and the court makes a pronouncement and that pronouncement is not obeyed, it's not respected, what people will do is that they begin to take laws into their hand when they don't believe in the efficacy of the judicial system. Every person does whatever he wants to do, and anarchy, will begin to loom large. So it's important we ensure that the judiciary, which is the third arm of government, enjoys independence. Not only administrative independence, including, financial autonomy. So that when they have the money, they control their purse, they can give judgment and ensure that that judgment is enforced.
Is that a reality in the Nigeria we live in?
That's the point. If it's not a reality, we must make it to be a reality. That's why SPIDEL is spearheading all these things. So there are so many things we're going to do. Before I just was elected last year. By next year, I should be decent. Before that time, there are issues I'm going to bring on the table for people to debate. Issue of obedience to court orders. After this issue of justiciability, we are finishing. The next quarter, we're going to talk about obedience to court orders. We bring the Attorney General of the Federation, bring all the Attorney Generals of the states for them to look at this issue. When a pronouncement of a court is made and you will advise the executive not to obey, what kind of society are we trying to create? We're creating a society where there is going to be anarchy, where people do not believe in the efficacy of the judicial system. They will begin to take laws into their hand and nobody's going to be safe. So it's important we begin to obey court orders and a guarantee independence of the judiciary, where they can do things and give judgment without looking at the back, that somebody is watching them. The issue of Odele's invasion. Recently, some judges' home were invaded, 2016, and we allowed it to go. But this time around, we're saying this one, it cannot be allowed to go. We must begin to protect our judiciary. We must begin to protect our judicial officers and ensure that judiciary is quite independent in order to mete out justice to everyone, irrespective of color, height, or pocket.
All right.
And now I even want to attend this conference at this point. How is registration taking place?
Yes.
And is it still open?
Yes.
How are things
going? For tomorrow's own, you can still come online, the one of tomorrow in Marriott, and watch it online. But for physical attendance, the edition has closed. For the conference, we just set up a committee headed by Dr. Muiz Banire, a renowned lawyer. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and so many other, 43 members, as you rightly pointed out. They will now roll out the modalities for registration, how those who attend. It's going to be also hybrid, that those who may not want to come physical, of course, they also, watch online. So it's going to be an elaborate program in which I believe every lawyer must really be interested in, attending. Now, let me say this. Our relevance lies in defending the people. There is no other profession that speaks on behalf of the people other than the lawyers. And so the relevance of a lawyer is that when you make your money, you must also give back a bit of your destiny to your society. Protect their rights, speak on behalf of the oppressed, the poor of the society, ensure that it's good governance, ensure that it's a society that is orderly, that obeys the law, that people can also enjoy these socioeconomic rights we are talking about. Right to employment, right to issue of welfare, right to issue of security, right to education. These are all the rights that have been provided, and that is what the lawyers are after, and that is what my section does. Our relevance is based upon doing those things that will make the people to be happy, that lawyers are in the society. And we are doing it under the leadership of Lumida Kwata. And I assure you that by the time we leave power, we would have actually created a really rebound, love for the lawyers, because the time came where people were not believing that lawyers were doing enough, for the society. But now, under the leadership of Olumide, you can see what lawyers have been doing. We're discussing, and then we're interrogating issues. And we're laying agenda for those who are coming in 2023. It's not a question of winning an election and then going to go and sleep. You are there. You are there in order to meet the interest of the people. You are there to ensure that their rights are respected. You are there to ensure that they are happy, because other nations that were doing for their own people. Why can't we do it here? God has blessed us with human resources, with natural resources. Why can't we be happy in this country? It is an issue of leadership. So let's get it right by setting an agenda for them now. It's not about winning election. It's about doing the thing that the people want.
All right, Dr. Monday Ubani, Chairman, MBA SPIDEL. Thank you for joining us here on
Aaron, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Cynthia, for having me.
And the bar, the very best in this forthcoming programs you've actually outlined.
I'm so grateful.